I am outraged. I am shaking and shivering with anger right now. Like, I don't think I have ever been this angry before. Like, ugh.
Bunch of cowards! Excuse me.
Let me set the scene for you so you can understand where my anger and frustration comes from. Because it's not for nowhere. I would never be angry for no reason. I have a very valid reason, and I'm sure after I explain my situation, you will understand why I'm so angry. So basically, I was googling Michael Cera, as like I often do. I kind of get the urge sometimes to like Google random celebrities and kind of just like make sure I know like every fact about them. And today I was like, right, I'm gonna Google Michael Cera because like why not? So I was just kind of scrolling to see if I could find anything like interesting about him, like maybe some like weird news about him or something. However, as I was scrolling, something like caught my eye. And I was really caught off guard by this site that I had seen, and it was so disrespectful and so appalling that I had to zoom back up to it because I just couldn't believe what I was about to read. Now, brace yourself, take a seat, because the anger that's going to boil within you after you hear what I seen, you won't even be able to comprehend it because it is just so rude. Right, this was a question. So you know on Google and it will have like the questions and like under like kind of related to the thing you search for. So this question stated, why is Michael Cera no longer in movies? Now, I have never in my life felt such rage and such anger as I did in that moment. He's in a wee bit of a rut right now, but like, don't disrespect Michael Cera.
I mean, what the hell have we become? Excuse me.
So today I'm going to defend my guy Michael Cera against this stupid question. And I'm going to prove to you people once and for all why Michael Cera is the world's greatest actor. And I'm also going to answer this question, why is Michael Cera no longer in movies? Now, just some background information on Michael Cera before we jump into like why he's such a king. Michael Cera, or Michael Austin Cera, was born on the 7th of June 1988, making him 33 years old as I'm recording this video, which means he'll be 34 this year. What a great age to be. And he was born in Brampton, Canada. According to IMDb, his interest in acting began when he watched the Ghostbusters as a child. Now, on IMDb it said that he was dealing with a childhood illness at the time. However, like I tried to look into this and I could not find anything else about it. So I don't know if this is true, but like that's what IMDb said. So basically he watched the Ghostbusters and that's what kind of sparked his interest in acting. However, they're trying to say that he had an illness, and again, like I have no idea what this means. Like if anybody knows what Michael Cera's childhood illness was, please tell me, because I genuinely have no idea. Like I could not find anything else about it. It also said that he would learn the dialogue from the movie, which shows his absolute power to watch something and to absorb the information being presented to him. He was then taken to classes at the Second City Improvisation and Acting School in Toronto, Canada, which is where he began to learn his skills to harness this gift that he had for acting. Now, I'm going to kind of jump like all the way up to the present time because I couldn't really find anything else like that interesting about him, to be honest. Like it seems like he had a pretty nice childhood. If he didn't, then I'm very sorry. Apparently he had a childhood illness, but I can't find anything else about that. So apparently he is like married to his long-term girlfriend, but I couldn't actually find that much about it, which kind of shows that he's like a private guy and doesn't need to flaunt his relationship to get attention like most other celebrities, because he's a king and kings don't need anybody else to help them get to the top because they're already at the top. In his early years of acting, he found himself in smaller roles, a lot of voice acting roles specifically. For example, he was in the Berenstain Bears in 2003. He actually played the iconic role of Brother Bear. He was also in a show called Braceface, which was like an animated show in 2001, but like again, like I don't remember the show, so I'm guessing it wasn't really that popular. If anybody's seen Braceface and remembers Michael Cera's amazing performance, then let me know. He also had other acting gigs in movies, like live action action movies such as The Familiar Stranger, or it's also called My Husband's Double Life. Like, I don't really know what its proper name is, but it was released in 2001. He was also in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind in 2002, which actually starred some pretty huge names in Hollywood, such as Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, Julia Roberts, my god, and was even directed by George Clooney. Can you believe that these stars had the privilege to work with Michael Cera? Like, my god. However, although it seemed like he was doing pretty good for an actor, there was no way to know what power he was about to harness. Michael Cera's breakout role, however, wasn't the Berenstain Bears, and it wasn't George Clooney movie, but it was instead Arrested Development. Now, Arrested Development was a show that originally aired back in 2003 on Fox and lasted for 3 seasons, ending in 2006. The show was extremely critically acclaimed, winning many awards. It's got a really dedicated fan base of people that would just watch it, especially since like with like streaming sites such as like Netflix and stuff, like it's become like hugely popular again. It follows the Bluth family, who were once respected in the business world, as they have to deal with losing everything and having their father go to jail for fraud. In this show, Michael Cera played the icon that is George Michael Bluth, who was the son to the main character of the show, Michael Bluth, who's played by yummy man Jason Bateman. The show actually had a lot of like really famous people that you probably know. It had Will Arnett, who is like BoJack Horseman. I'm sure he's Batman and on the Lego verse or whatever. And it also had Uncle Ian himself, David Cross. Like, I actually love him so much. It's the reason why he's on my favourite bald people list. I also had like Ellen's wife. She was actually quite cool in the show. I don't know why she married Ellen though. Like, I mean, on yourself, Hen. In the show, I'd say for like what I've seen for like the fans and stuff, Michael Cera's character George Michael was probably the fan favourite and had like some of the most like iconic moments in the show, from his like weird creepy crush on his cousin Maybe to just his like awkwardness in general, like the mayonnaise thing, like, oh my god, just this whole thing in the show was just that he's like awkward, right? And this is going to be a theme throughout this video. The word of the day is awkward. The show was unfortunately cancelled in 2006, however it made a comeback on Netflix in 2013 and finished again in 2019. Now, the absolute power that Michael Cera has, that people watched his performance as George Michael and demanded that the show was brought back like 7 years later. Your fave could never. Now, the reason that this role was such a great success for Michael Cera was because, unlike his other roles in the past, this one was obviously a lot more mainstream, but also had a lot more humour in it and showed more of his awkward personality, which everyone absolutely fell in love with, and as a result, the world was obsessed with Michael Cera's awkwardness. Cera mania, if you will.
Alexa, show me my baby. Okay.
This meant that everyone wanted Michael to be in their movies as the awkward teenager. However, this would be the beginning of his downfall. Now, Superbad is the most perfect cinematic masterpiece to ever be created, and you may think it's Star Wars or the Hobbit movie or whatever, but you're wrong. It is Superbad. Stop crying and just accept the facts and logic that Superbad is the best movie. Don't fight me on this. Stop crying. Here are some tissues to wipe away your tears. Superbad was released in 2007, just a year after Arrested Development ended. Now, this movie stars another absolute icon, Jonah Hill, who plays Seth, who is Michael Cera's best friend in the movie. In this movie, Michael Cera played one of the main characters opposite Jonah Hill. The movie followed Jonah Hill and Michael Cera's characters. I'm probably just going to call them Jonah Hill and Michael Cera. I'm not going to even refer to them as Seth and Evan, to be honest. The movie follows Jonah Hill and Michael Cera as they try to enjoy the little time they have left before college starts, and they do this by deciding that they want to go to this mad party, and in order to seem cool enough to go to the party, they say that they'll get alcoholic beverages for everybody. The movie then follows the boys trying to get the alcoholic beverages to bring to this party. It's very wholesome. It's just kind of like their journey to kind of get to the party, and it sounds really stupid, but like, everybody's seen Superbad. It's the best movie. I love that movie so much. However, in this movie, Michael Cera's character is just like his character was in Arrested Development. Awkward, the awkward teenage boy, if you will, and that's why we come back to word of the day, everybody, is awkward, because that is going to be a word that I say so much throughout this video. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how my guy created a whole movie stereotype of the awkward teenage boy, or the awkward teenager. Now, this trope has been implemented into many shows and movies throughout the years, and I'm not saying that he's the first person to do it, but he made it his bitch, right? Like that trope is Michael Cera's. And you know, this trope, even though it's been implemented into so many movies, nobody can or ever will do it better than my guy Michael Cera. This movie done extremely well in the box office, making over $170.8 million and has a cult following behind it of people who love the movie. Even the young and hip people on TikTok love it, as a couple of months ago the McLovin scene was actually trending on TikTok, so it was like a sound that people were using. Also, this mad website I found says that according to scientists, Superbad is actually the funniest movie to ever exist, so you know, take that as you will, like take it as fact. As mentioned before, both Superbad and Arrested Development were extremely successful projects that Michael Cera worked on. However, he played basically the same character in both of these projects, and this kind of worked out for him for a while. He got huge roles in other iconic movies such as Juno in 2007 and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World in 2010. However, in both of these projects he kind of played the same character again, the awkward teenager, and we started to see this pattern of Michael Cera playing an awkward teenager, and this is where we started to see that Michael Cera was a victim to typecasting, which is when an actor is casted in the same types of roles for basically everything they're in. It's usually a lot more problematic than Michael Cera just being casted as like an awkward teenager, but that's kind of what happened to him. He just kept getting casted as the lovable awkward teenage boy, which was fine when he looked like a teenager. However, he wasn't going to look like a teenager for forever. I know this video is about showing how Michael Cera is like an absolute king, and you know it is, but he had to be humbled a wee bit, right? Because he's just having all this success, and you know, the world can't see somebody just being successful. You need to be humbled a wee bit. After the release of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World in 2010, there is only really one project that he was notably in, and it's the one that started it all, Arrested Development. Arrested Development, as mentioned before, was rebooted back in 2013, which on paper sounds amazing and like a great idea. However, no one really thought about how odd it would look now that there had been 7 years between the end of the original and the start of the new season, which wouldn't be the biggest problem for most actors in most shows. However, as we've mentioned before, people liked Michael Cera because of his awkward teenage thing he had going on, and now that he was just a fully grown adult, he didn't have that same feel to the character as he once did, because he didn't look like a teenage boy anymore, and obviously the character had grown up. Now, that wasn't completely his fault, as the new Arrested Development season, so basically anything after season 3, is really bad, right? Like, it's, and that's coming from like a really big fan of the show. I can't watch the seasons back. I watched it all and I was really disappointed, but they didn't try to change Michael Cera's character or George Michael like at all, and they just kept him kind of like the same way as he was like in the original, which again pigeonholed Michael Cera in this one role of like an awkward teenager when he had so much more to show than that. Like, for example, it would have been so much funnier if they just had Michael Cera and or like George Michael come in and just act like an absolute chad. That would have been so much funnier than just watch him be awkward, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously he plays awkward very well, but the way that the new Arrested Development season worked, so basically season 3 ended and that was it, right? But basically, well, the first season is season 4, so keep in mind, like, the last episode of season 3 and the first episode of season 4, there was 7 years in between that, and they basically, instead they just been like, oh, like 7 years later or a couple years later, and kind of continuing on for that, because they did date, but they also done like flashbacks for like a lot of the first episode. The characters, like, because they're trying to pretend that they're all the way back in like 2006, like it looks bizarre because they all look so old, like, because obviously it's not even 10 years, you know what I mean? If it was like for comedic effect, like if it was supposed to be like funny, like how they don't look the same at all, maybe it would kind of be a pass, but it's the fact that they just tried to play it off like it was fine, and like it was really weird and bizarre. Also, there was like other problems like scheduling conflicts because of like how popular the cast had become. Like, as I've said, like the stars that are in that show, like there would be episodes where like only like 3 characters would be in it, and then like the next episode they wouldn't be in it at all, and it's like You know what I mean? And it just felt really like the characters didn't really interact with each other. Drew Gooden's video on it is very good, and it's probably where I stole most of my points about the show from. So if you want to watch that, I'll if I remember, I'll link it down below. After the flop that was the Arrested Development reboot, Michael Cera's career kind of took a wee hit, right? I'm not gonna lie. He kind of, you know, he's in a wee rut, right? However, that doesn't mean that he hasn't been in stuff. He's still been in a lot of things, but he hasn't managed to get that like smash hit like he once had back in like the early 2000s. And this could be kind of blamed on him being like typecasted for most of his roles, and like how in New doesn't he look like a teenager is why like obviously he's been kind of replaced by like other awkward teenagers, like you know what I mean? But it doesn't mean he's still not in things. Like he's had like smaller roles in movies such as Sausage Party and This Is the End, but nothing like his bigger projects before. I just wanted to talk about how multi-talented my guy is, because as well as being an actor, he is also a musician. Now he's released 2 albums, Candela, which was released in 1998, and True That, which was released in 2014. According to Spotify, he has 4,050 monthly listeners, and his most popular song, Clay Pigeons, has 20 million streams, and he's not with any major record label or company. Like he did that himself because he's an icon. From what I've seen in like comments I've read and kind of just people talking about his music, I feel like people quite like his music, and I've not really seen a lot of people like hate on it. Nobody's saying that it's the worst, you know what I mean, which is good. You know, the internet kind of agrees that it's decent, which is an absolute win for my guy. He's also released songs for like his movies such as like Juno, and appears on the movie soundtracks like most of the movies he's in, because he's a king. Oh, your fave could never. His last release was in 2017 with his song Best I Can featuring Sharon Van Eaton. And when researching his music, I actually seen that Anthony Fantano reviewed his album True That in 2014, but this bitch gave him a 5 out of 10.
Kind of feeling a 5.
Which is so rude, shaking my head. Don't disrespect my guy like that again, Anthony. How dare you give Michael Cera a 5 out of 10? He is a 10-star man.
I've been trying to control myself, trying to be professional about this, but at a certain point, I'm just really getting pissed. Just excuse me.
In conclusion, I think Michael Cera is the best actor because he literally made a whole career out of just being himself as the awkward teenage boy, the awkward teenager, and as a result kinda just skyrocketed a whole genre of characters. I know he wasn't the first to do this awkward teenager thing, and I know he certainly won't be the last, but he made that trope his bitch in the mid-2000s. He is also extremely underrated, and I hope that he starts to get better roles because he deserves better than whatever the hell this is. Give Michael Cera a lead role in a movie now. I demand that it happens now. He's just in a wee rut just now, and I'm sure he'll get out of it soon. You know, he's harnessing his power, he's cultivating his power, and soon he'll show all that he has within him, because he is the almighty and the all-powerful, and he's a funny wee guy. So stop bullying him. Oh, stop bullying him.